Hey guys, still Professor Bill, still Comic Book University. This is part two of my eBay opening stuff. This is the bigger one. I just opened a whole bunch of fairly important. Oh, go back and see the previous video for that. Anyway, I'm going to be opening up a whole new box of good stuff. I already gave the information of where all this stuff comes from. So it's actually from a place in Texas, though. I didn't mention that it was in Texas. I do mention that once in a while, though, whenever I open these up. Whenever I buy comic books on eBay, it's typically always from this company. So yeah, go check out all that information on the previous video, part A to this. And oh, see, this is what I'm talking about. Look at the way this is shipped. Look at that. When you got yourself a good comic book company that cares, all right, boom, that's how they're going to ship it to you with the foam and everything. So this is solid, bro. Yeah, this is definitely solid. I could probably even use this stuff for some dioramas later on. Who knows? We're about to find the heck out, son. So let me pop those puppies out. And hey, you go over there. And you cardboard stuff, go over there. Okay, so I got two different sizes of stuffs. Look at that. They're two different sizes of books, but there's a lot of books. I think there might be some Marvel graphic novels in here. So my receipt is in there with the whole packing list. Nothing hiding underneath. Okay, cool. So a whole bunch of stuff's in there. Okay, let me open up these Marvel graphic novels first because I am so madly in love with Marvel graphic novels. Swoop. Okay. Got two of them. So one, Sailor Stories. Tales of Dragons, Myth and Dragons, or something like that. I forget what it is. Serpents and Dragons. You might think to yourself, well, Professor, I remember a video where you already got this. No, I got part one. This is technically part two. This is the second Sailor story, still a Marvel graphic novel. So of those first original 50 or so Marvel graphic novels, actually it was like 75, 77. It's less than 100. Boom. And I got one more. Wolfpack, issue number 1, first appearance of all these guys. Mind you, every time I usually don't care about first prints too often, but Marvel graphic novels, I always care about the first prints. So yes, these are indeed first prints of my books. But my books, some people care about my guns. Yeah, there's that too. But my books, my comics, that's what I really care about. Don't make me choose. Guns offer safety, but comics, I'm really tired, guys. But comics offer peace and reconciliation with the tales of great myths. Okay, so I've got a crap ton of books to open up. Open her. Okay. So I want to do this a little bit differently. Let me go through a couple of these. Okay, here we go. So this is actually what I want to show first. Avengers issue number 328, The Origin of Rage. Seems like a really cool book, right? It's not the first appearance of Rage. That was actually 2 issues prior in issue number 326, the first appearance of Rage. Yes. So bang. First appearance and origin of Rage. Okay, here's an interesting one. I don't think it's the oldest comic book that I own, but issue number 200 of Captain America. This is the final issue of the Mad Bomb story. When Jack Kirby returned to Marvel, the first story that he jumped on was Mad Bomb with Captain America. And this concludes that original arc, that story with issue number 200, back when Marvel was only 25 cents for a comic book. So yes, original Jack Kirby art in here. I'm saying, well, you know, first print. It's anyway. Yeah. Okay, another one of those Marvel 25th anniversary covers. Here is the Transformers issue number 22. It's Galvatron on the front, baby. How you doing? How you doing? So bang, and how you be? What is this? Creatures on the Loose? Could issue number 10 of Creatures on the Loose, could this be the first appearance of King Kull? Why, yes. Yes, it is. The first appearance, physical appearance of King Kull, pretty much in any medium. Because there was, like, you know, a couple little quick sketches or whatever on, you know, Weird Tales books, but not really. Not like this. So, bang. And definitely the first appearance in Marvel, which was the first time that he was ever put in a comic book. This comic book isn't worth a lot. Marvel Age issue number 8, but it does have Stan Lee and Jim Shooter on the front, which I think is hysterical. I always see this book as I'm passing by, and I saw a really low-grade copy. And I was like, you know what, whatever. Let me grab this. Now I'll throw a couple coins at my Witcher, to my Witcher, whatever. Issue number 16 of Monsters on the Prowl. Got the first appearance of King Kull. That's King Kull also. This is, however, the first appearance of Thulsa Doom. Yeah, baby. So I've now got the first appearance of Thulsa Doom. Bang. Super happy about that. Here is Marvel Comics Presents issue number 26. See this guy right here? Cold Blood? Yeah, Eric Savin is, I believe, his actual real name. Well, comic book name. He actually appeared in a movie, Iron Man 3, believe it or not. He was actually in that movie. I could care less. Didn't really represent him. But I remember reading the Marvel Comics Presents comic books because they always had Wolverine in the beginning, and then they had a bunch of Joe Fixit in it also. And I was just so in love with those two characters back when I was a kid. And then I just started reading the Havoc story, because in this he was actually dealing with the living monolith. And the first time I'd read a story about, you know, like the full length story of the living monolith was Havoc Wolverine Meltdown. So I was like, okay, well, that's kind of interesting. And then in one of the issues, I found part 2 or 3, whatever, of the Cold Blood story. So I started just reading it, and I was like, wait a second, this isn't the first. So I went back and I read all of them. You know, I owned them all, so I just had to go back and find them and read them all. And I was like, this is actually a really good story. They did a second story with him, and it sucked. But this first story, I don't know how you could even make a second story with him that's any good. But that first story was actually really good. And I can see a whole bunch of movies that clearly took that idea from it. How about issue number, actually, this is annual number 10, not issue number 10 of Thor. There's no such thing. But this is Thor annual number 10, first appearance of the Demiurge, the God Eater. So this is actually the original origin of Mephisto and a whole bunch of other demonic characters. Also gives the history, the origin of like Chthon and a whole bunch of other demonic characters. I really love the demonic Thor, Conan, Hyborian age, Volusian age, you know, pre-first cataclysm age stuff. Absolutely love those stories. You know what? Before I get to that, I'll show you this one real quick because it kind of freaking counts. Wolverine First Class issue number 12. There's a character in here called Quaggoth, which is one of those demonic Cthulhian type characters. So Quaggoth, first appearance in here. Kitty Pryde and Wolverine have to go against it ish. So boom, probably one of the earlier inspirations for iBoy. Anyway, so Quaggoth, first appearance in this. I just love those demonic Cthulhian type characters in the Marvel Comics. How about something completely different? Issue number 60 of The Punisher, which is the first appearance of Punisher in blackface. Okay, it's not actually blackface. And if somebody believes it's blackface, well, you're wrong. With all due respect, you're wrong. The original term of blackface was supposed to mean that, you know, it's usually a white guy who would put the makeup on, and whatever he would cover, he would make sure that you knew he was actually white, pretending to be black, not even pretending, like, pretending to, mock black people. It was 100% meant to mock black people. That's what it was. I'm not here for, a history lesson, but I guess I'm here for it anyway. So that was actually meant to insult and make fun of black people. Actually putting on a disguise to infiltrate is something entirely different. So you can see that Luke Cage actually goes with him, and yeah, it's funny. I remember every single black person who I knew. Most of them were my friends, but anybody who was black who was interested in the comics was like, dude, Punisher is black now. That is awesome. That is super awesome. So I don't know what the story is behind Marvel doing this, and if they got in trouble for it or whatever. I don't know. I honestly don't. But I know that all of my black friends, not a single one of them had a problem with it. Also, he's called Cage now, not Luke Cage during this particular time. There was the Cage comic book that was out that didn't really do so well. I think it only went to 16 issues, but it was still a good story in those 16 issues. A lot of stuff that still stems, a lot of stuff that happens today stemmed from those original Cage comic books. So no complaints there. Here's a particularly old one. Superman number 264. You only have a couple moments before I tell you that this is the first appearance, besides the Phantom quarterback, of Steve Lombard. That's right, that idiot who's always making football references and whatnot. This is the first appearance of Steve Lombard. So, bang! Really happy to get this one. I don't have enough Superman comics anymore. I had so many of them, just like the Batman comic books. It's hard for me to collect them now because it's like, well, what do I choose? So I'm like, let me just get some of the other stuff instead for now. Anyway, here's Avengers issue number 133. This is where geez, I know his name and everything like that. Did they say? Crap. Oh, I know who he is. Anyways, he's Mantis's father. He's actually Mantis's father. I can't remember what his name is. He's blind. He's one of the crew that the astrology crew, the Zodiac. He's one of the Zodiac crew. So bang, and Scorpio. Jeez, there we go. So anyway, all that good stuff. And this is his origin story, and this is technically part of the origin of the Kree Skrull War. So and therefore the first appearances of the Kotati in story, at least, and stuff like that. And yeah, interesting, very interesting stuff. Here's Marvel Creatures on the Loose, issue number 26, first appearance of Thongor. Kind of an original character that's just based on all the other characters like King Kull, because they're all really just imitations of King Kull. Yes, that includes Conan. Gonna piss a lot of people off, but truth is the truth. Oh, look, Marvel team up Spider-Man and King Kull. Issue number 112 of Marvel team up. So Spider-Man, King Kull. This was actually a really good story. If you have the Marvel app or something along those lines, go and read the story. It's actually really good. It's going to tell you a bunch of cool stuff. Here's the first appearance of Solar Man in issue number 1 of Solar Man from Marvel. Don't think it actually means anything, but it's in my collection. First appearance from Eclipse Comics of the ESPers. First appearance of the ESPers in ESPers number 1. I've got 2 more comics. I've got Nightfall, Nightside, issue number 1, which is the first appearance of Nightside. Whatever. And this one, nothing particularly special about it, except the idea that it's the first issue of Marvel Comics Presents. And this was a comic book. This was the first anthology comic book that I read while realizing it's actually meant to be an anthology comics. I've read plenty of anthology comics, always from DC back in the day, never really realizing that there was a specific kind of comic book called anthology. And this, I was just like, I was blown away by this. Like 4 different stories in here. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. And I was all on board. So Marvel Comics was almost life-changing. This is when I really started to realize that I like Marvel Comics better than DC. And I don't really think I ever went back fully. You know what I'm saying? There were times when I'd read more DC and less of Marvel, but I always kind of put Marvel as being the measuring stick when these books came out. But I was also around the age that I started getting really heavily into comic books, and I was buying my own comics all the time. So anyway, that's it. That's all I got for the book. So yeah, if you like the video, prove it. Like the video. And if you didn't, like the video anyway. And watch an ad. Talk to you guys later. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.